Well, my opening video, this video, is the last video of the day. I obviously, as you can imagine, I wasn't really happy about what took place Saturday night, the break with Sailor. Of course, expectations were tempered for a horse we'd only had 24 hours. The break was obvious what had happened. We can rectify that. Looks like he's going to be a nice horse. Patrick DePirano was the problem. Why'd he race bad? He didn't scope bad. I guess the silver lining is he's sound. He didn't bleed. There wasn't a ton of mucus in his throat, so let's find out what his blood says, because clearly that's where the answer is going to be. But when you have a race like that, it really is tough to take, right? It's tough to take that, especially since we've had such a good run. We've been so spoiled for the most part. When you have a horse, a horse that you bought to be a flagship horse, go out and race so poorly, it's tough. So I woke up today, I had to pick your chin up, not drag your butt around and go about your day. So we went to the barn. We had some temperatures to check. There were some 2-year-olds that are a little sick, as you can imagine, with the ridiculous weather. -6, it says right now. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Last week it was +19. Now it's -6. You wonder why the horses are sick. So, went to the barn, took some temperatures. The blacksmith was there, brought them some coffee. Had to work on get some horses shod. If you look through the video later on, you'll see Stonebridge Simba. I want to make some shoeing changes with him. I talked to Jason, said, he trots okay with the flip-flops on, but he's infinitely better with them off. Just have to take care of his feet and keep an eye on that quarter crack that's always persistent. It shows up after about 4 or 5, 6 starts with no flip-flops on that right front. So keep an eye on that when he starts biting that line a little bit. Maybe give him a week. Put the flip-flops back on, work on. Anyways, not a big deal. But I did want to touch on what went right this week. And when something goes wrong right in front of you, you're left with that depressing feel, right? And really, I'm looking at horses like this week alone. I could be wrong, but I can tell you the winners I know for sure we had this week. 1, 2, 3. Those guys qualified. 4, 5, 6. 6 horses out of a couple of barns that qualify, that won parimutuel races and look great. And I know I'm missing a couple. So I'm going to get right into it. I want to talk about what horses are getting ready and the expectations for them. They're getting close enough now. We're taking a serious look at them. How do they seem? Now, we're going to be wrong about some of them. Maybe some of them don't reach their full potential. Maybe some of them are going to go further than we expect this year. I suspect we're going to have some of those also. But pretty good idea of who's doing what and how good they seem so far. Then we have a bit of a vet report in the sense that we have 4 horses going to the vet tomorrow. Want to talk about that. We have 1 scheduled vet appointment this week for noon on Monday. Why are the horses there? What are they doing? We have 2 horses having procedures done this week. One is at the university right now. The other one will be there on Thursday. I'm going to talk about that in the opening. But we're going to get right to it and talk about what took place this week, how I saw it, what surprised me the most. Now, I know I have Kings County on the top of the list, but he wasn't near as surprising a winner as Royston's Punch. Royston's Punch looked like a different horse. He looked possessed to me when I looked right and saw him coming out of the clouds. I was shocked. And then to hear Brett rave about him, about how good he was and how easy he won. Impressive. But I'm going to get right to it. Kings County. So the reason he went to Ohio is he was bleeding a little bit through Lasix. Not like Tortolindi, not concerning. I mean, anytime they do, they're concerning. But we look a lot more than most people, right? Both times he won, he still bled a little bit through Lasix. So we saw that. Made notes of that. And then tried to rectify it and couldn't really rectify it. The reason it's different in Ohio than Ontario is you can use Amicar in Ohio. Can't use it in Ontario. So, the horse didn't bleed. He was very, very good this week. No blood. He's going to end up racing quite a bit in Miami Valley and down around southern Ohio till Scioto opens, I believe. Relatively fresh when we got him, so I don't see any problems there. He's down there. He stayed down there now. Jason and I spoke about it. It's really hard for Jason to go down there on a Monday, next Monday. Sunday for no free lunch, then, come back Monday for Kings County. Oh, by the way, come back again Wednesday. It's a 4-hour trip by truck and trailer. So we left Kings County down with Stacy and Brett Miller. They're going to do very, very good with this horse. I'm certain of that. Man, he looks some kind of good. He was strong the other day. And, here's the thing. When you have horses, it's so weird because when he was in Ontario, he was really hot going to the gate. He could get a little warm, get a little grabby, and then he was all right as he settled into the race. Did that play a role in bleeding? Was that chicken and the egg? Was he, was there a little bit, what did he know that he was susceptible to bleeding, or maybe even bleeding a little bit, going up to the gate. And that caused this kind of mild erratic behavior from time to time, because when I raced him at Miami Valley, 2 fingers. Totally different horse. So I expect good things from Kings County moving forward. Just really impressed. This is a horse that we put a lot of work into, put some money into also, but put a lot of work into, and super excited to see him racing the way that he was racing the other day. Royson's Punch, as I said, could have easily put him at my number 1 horse to talk about this week. Here's a horse that just looked incredible. 54-2 or 3, just looked incredible the other day. New lifetime mark. Both him, Eldis Patrick, both the fastest miles of their life the other day. Eldis Patrick did all the work and then scoped a little bit sick after, so he'll even be that much better next week. Now, the problem we have, we talk about it in another couple of videos today. Here's a big problem. We have 3 horses. Only 2 can race in the final. That's the rules of the race. So stay close, and Royson's Punch have already won. Now, Eldis Patrick has a series in New York right after this. Plus, he's been racing for a while. I love Eldis Patrick, but it may make sense to put him on gate and potentially move him. And I think that's what we may have to do with Eldis Patrick. Just the proximity of racing, what he's eligible to, what he can actually race in. Again, keep in mind, we already have 2 horses that fit the series. They are in the final. And Eldis Patrick, for all intents and purposes, likely will also. So we may have to sell Eldis Patrick. I don't know. I love the horse. I mean, geez, he's a really nice horse, and he's only going to get better. But I don't know that he'd ever be worth more than he is right this second. So we'll see. We'll see about Patrick in the near future. But super, super proud and impressed. Stay Close looked awesome. Yeah, he looked like an octopus with hobbles on. I know he looked a little fumbly and bumpy, but strong, very powerful, and felt very good. What you saw was not necessarily what I felt. I don't really care about the bumpiness. He felt strong. He felt powerful, and he felt safe. He may have looked a little bumpy at times to you guys, but I didn't feel the same way when I was sitting behind him. He just looked impressive. But not quite as good as Royson's Punch. He looked awesome too. Eldis Patrick did all the work, scoped a little sick. I think you're going to see a big mile from him next week also. Had some very, very impressive qualifiers and schoolers this week also. Unbeatable Kemp. I don't know why we put these horses. I'll come back to Unbeatable Kemp in just a second. Arches Rainbow may not have looked impressive to you, but if you know what went on before the race, that just the day before they chopped all the toes off the poor girl, her grit and determination were pretty evident in her qualifier. She could have rolled off. She could have looked horrible. Instead, she still tried to get there for a victory. Even though I'm not sure she knows what victory is, she shot up the inside and almost did get there. I'm very proud of what she did. Not a super impressive mile, but if you knew everything that went into that mile, it really was a super impressive mile. I expect a big mile from her next week. Almost There Boss looked incredible this week in winning. And the fact that he was so green in doing it just shows how bright this horse's future really could be. Century Invictus, his mile was 1 faster, but 2 impressive in the sense that quarter pole to the front, powered away from them down the lane. Merciless victories are A-pluses here. I love horses that drive away and win. Don't just win by a head or a neck, but put it on them. I love that. And Century Invictus looked great in doing it. Brave World, big mile from him. Get out late, closing fast into a quick mile on a cold night. 53 and a piece. He paced 54 and a bit, but looked great doing it. So a bright future coming back. We gave him the proper time coming back, and Harry and I talked about it this morning. He says, no need to take this horse away from Mohawk. Just race him right here. James is going to drive him like that. Just race him right here. This horse will be just fine for him. And Peanut, don't believe me, just watch. A big victory for him. A lot of heartstrings being tugged on this week with Peanut. Just a nice horse, got a large fan following, and very proud of the work he did this week. Now we'll get to some impressive qualifiers. As I said, Unbeatable Kemp, keep your eyes peeled on this horse. This might be one of the most impressive horses to date that I saw go behind the gate in a qualifier. The expectations I have for this horse are high right now. He looked impressive in his qualifier. Another horse that looked awesome, Resolute Bay. Both these horses are sitting on any kind of mile, and they're not going to have to see. You're not going to see the bottom of them for a while. You're not going to see them stretched out and emptied out for quite a while. Unbeatable Kemp and Resolute Bay, 2 horses to keep a very, very close eye on in the next few weeks. Blue Bayou Dio looked great, but I'm going to give her another qualified. Another horse that fits in Elmer's at 2. So Blue Bayou Dio, no rush to get her qualified, especially when these 2 fit the class right now. Will qualify Blue Bayou deal once more. She's going to the vet. We'll talk about why these horses are going to the vet in just a minute, but she's going to the vet also. My Mini Miracle, remember what I told you, she's schooled great. She'll be tight for next Friday in London. Now one is at 50. Very happy with what I saw from My Mini Miracle. Another horse you guys maybe don't know or haven't paid attention to, Gemstone Ruby Rose. Good schooler the other day, 2-2 last half in a minute at Northfield Park. We could qualify her or reschool her. We'll see. She's not going to race in a pari-mutuel race for 2, maybe 3 weeks, but just super impressed with what I saw from Gemstone Ruby Rose. A great schooler from her. Another great qualifier for Procrastinator. Man, this horse was loaded this week. Man, he felt very good. 56 flat on a crummy day. Make no mistake, it was a crappy day at Northfield Park that day. That was a good mile of 56 for him. Very happy with what I saw from Procrastinator. What else do we got going on? Horses getting ready right now. Horses that I have high expectations for. These horses are close enough now where I feel comfortable saying this. Tie one on. Keep your eye on this filly. Harry is raving about her. She'll be ready to go in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Her first start will be here. Another horse that fits in numbers of 2, fillies and mares 3. Got a bright future here. In the next few weeks, should be loaded for bear with young trotters in the non-winners of 1, 2, and 3 divisions for quite a while. Taiwan looks great. Slim Jimmy is going to qualify next week. 2 qualifiers for him. Jason says he's trained down like a monster. His words. Purple Aura, she was training fantastic, then tied up. She's back training now. She won't be ready for the Hackett, but she will be ready for her first Sire Stakes. You can be sure of that. Sweet on Pete, trained down, awesome also. Actually, Jason, I think he's torn between who he likes more right now, Slim Jimmy or Sweet on Pete. They both really wowed him the last 2 weeks training. He really likes what he's seen from Sweet on Pete. 3-point Blue Chip, obviously, this is what I would call right now our flagship horse, the horse that we are waiting to see. We're all waiting to see what is going to, and I'm in the same boat as you. Any information I get about him, I pass right on to you. All I can tell you is that Julie Miller was looking to buy into. Julie and Andy Miller inquired about buying into 3-point Blue Chip. I said there's just simply no shares there. They must think that this is a Grand Circuit horse in 3-point Blue Chip, a real good horse. So excited to see what they saw and what they're seeing translate on the track here in the coming months. Some more horses to keep an eye on for various reasons. High Gear No Fear is training down. Ended his campaign for us, a short campaign for us, and a horrible note at Flamborough. Just looked dreadful at Flamborough Downs his last start. We gave him all the time off, brought him back. He's starting to look better. I said, Harry, don't start him until you are absolutely certain he's good. He's been training great. He looks great. Fine. Let's finish him off the right way, and he'll be ready to go in the next few weeks. A horse that I think, now I didn't go with Taiwan. I trained Taiwan on at 2.6. She felt great, right? I didn't go with Purple Aura. I trained Pete once. I didn't go with Slim Jimmy. I haven't gone with 3-point Blue Chip. High Gear No Fear I trained last week, but a horse that I did train yesterday at the farm that feels like a much improved horse, which is a scary looking animal, is Grace. Last half in like 5 on a muddy track. She was very strong. Super impressed with what I saw from Grace yesterday. Now, on that token, a horse that Jason's been quietly asking me, when are we gonna drop the hammer on her? She's ready to go. Is Bomb Hugger. He said she has been lights out, fantastic. April 15th is the first day I want her in to qualify, and she will be in to qualify on the 15th. Horse that Mario's been talking about, Renegade Gypsy. Again, another nice horse, trained down great, had a decent year last year. Probably we thought of more. We thought maybe he'd be more. Very similar to maybe a Walk on the Moon from the year before. But again, just because we think they should be more doesn't mean they are. Maybe they're doing all they can. Renegade Gypsy looks good. Again, approaching the spring series. Probably going to qualify him twice and then have him in to go, ready to go. World for 2, very similar thing. The difference is he doesn't have the luxury of being here, qualify, school. He'll probably qualify twice and go directly to Tim Twaddle's barn to race in Pennsylvania. And as I said, talking about horses that qualify big, keep your eye on Unbeatable Kemp, Resolute Bay. They both looked exceptionally good qualifying the other day. I went with Resolute Bay. I can tell you, on a nice night, he's sitting on about a 56, 57 mile, no problem. And Unbeatable Kemp looked some kind of powerful for James the other day. Now, I talked about the vet work we're getting done. Where are the horses going? What vet work's being done? So Monday afternoon at noon, Matt's MVP came home to go specifically to see Dr. McKee to figure out what is going on with that right front. I would love nothing more than for her to call and say, it's this or it's that. We can fix it. Here it is. Because Matt's MVP can race in a maiden and thump them right now at Mohawk. I'm certain he can. He's been real good when he's not physically real good. So I guess that's the best way of putting it. He hasn't been 100%, not even close, and he's been racing great. Imagine what he looked like when we get him to 100%. Matt's MVP is a horse I'm keeping an eye on, but very interested to see what Dr. McKee finds with him tomorrow. Blue Bayou Dio, minor checkup. I think probably just get her knees injected and then put her back into qualify Friday. I suspect that's what I see anyway. Patrick the Piranha was dreadful last night. It wasn't in the scope. He wasn't sore. So what is it? Does he need a little vet work done? Maybe I missed something. He was over on the left shaft a little bit, but again, you're stretching if you're going to say, oh, he was no good, because there's nothing I could see out of last night. Not physically on the track and not in the scope. I suspect a large portion of his issue will be found quite easily in his blood work. We'll do that tomorrow, and then he'll be heading to Dr. McKee just for a checkup, if nothing else, on Monday at noon. And then the last horse to go up be Archer's Rainbow. We've been so focused on that airway, right? That laxity in the right side of her retinoid area in her throat, that we really haven't done any vet work on her. It was always, is she going to get to the track? Do you think she's good enough? Is she going to get there? But we never did really take her to the vet and say, okay, aside from her throat, what else do you see? It just hasn't happened. So a little rolly in the corners. She's a big giant filly, plus she's an archangel. So I suspect her knees maybe need a little work on her feet. If her feet are hurting her, we can actually shock them tomorrow, because she won't be in to go till, I don't think, till Monday. Friday, Saturday, Monday. Any one of those 3 days, we're still allowed, because she hasn't even entered yet, we're allowed to shockwave therapy, or put the shockwave therapy in her feet. So that sounds a little ghoulish, but it's not. It's just Google it. You'll understand. So I want to get her checked up. Is her stifles a little weak? Can you put some iodine in there? The filly I saw could be helped a lot physically before her qualifier. I think she's coming in hot. I think she's coming in real hot. Keep your eye on Archer's Rainbow also. She'll be showing up in a maiden very, very soon. So that is that's all the horses that impressed me this week. That's horses that are getting ready to keep your eye on. We had the vet work. Going to see the vet on Monday will be Matt's MVP, Blue Bayou Dio, Patrick the Piranha, and Archer's Rainbow. Obvious reasons for Patrick. The other three will be determined on Monday. Now the staking is all done. That was so stressful. The March 15th deadline was a lot, and a lot of stress on me. It's over now. We get through the biggest hump. A fraction of that is due this month. For the April 15th billing, it's always much less. It shouldn't really be that hard to attain. There may be some changes. I always, when I see the report come in, I'll really clamp down and say, okay, this horse, maybe this, circle this, maybe this, circle this. We always do a little trimming, but for the most part, we're locked in for 2022. Everything looks so good. The babies, they haven't got to train this week, so there's no real, well, I'll tell you what. I had some horses I wanted to mention, but it's unfair just to mention them because they got to train Saturday and the other ones didn't. But a horse that is quietly catching my eye in a very big way is Tactical Mounds. The way she trained yesterday through that sloppy track was amazing. I just think she's got so much to offer. When you look at the tactical landings, I have people calling me all the time now because they know we have 6 tactical landings. Total strangers. Is this Mr. McDonald? Yeah, I heard that you had like 5 or 6 tactical landings. How do you like them? I'm going to breed my mare, and I was thinking of going to him. What do you think? I love the ones we have. All 6 of them are powerhouses and do their work so good. The international money's so impressed with those horses, how they look on the track. You look at Carter Michael Dio. He could be any kind of horse, and he's bred to be a good horse, and he looks so good. He's on the track squealing like a stud yesterday. And Johnny looked at me and I said, squeal away, bud. I'm never gelding that horse. So we literally have to be under suspicion for homicide for me to geld him. He just looks so good. He's not mean. He just feels good all the time. Spitfire Overseas and other international monies. It just looks so. I'm missing the other one too. There's another one that's a killer. Spitfire Overseas. It doesn't matter. But the Tactical Landing show, Brace for Landing, looks so good. And Tactical Mounds looks so good. Una Madonna was my number 1 pick. and James's too. I found out later. So the tactical landing is just so much going on, but so impressive. This breed of horse. Then who else trained? We had the 2 Ohio horses. Columbus looked great last week. Sipping on My Shine, if we can get his head squared away. After seeing Columbus, it seems like Sipping on My Shine's a few weeks behind him mentally, and Columbus has come so far and looks so good. I believe we can get there with Sipping on My Shine. He's such a wooden head, but he is so fast. High Enterprise looked so great yesterday. Then the Bar Hopping filly, Leaps and Bounds, looked great. But these are horses that train, so it's unfair because the other ones didn't. Some horses in the top barn getting over sickness. Oh my gosh, was very sick for about 2 weeks and still isn't 100% of the woods. Was sick, right? We have some horses that are sick right now. Some temperatures today that I treated on Landing Strip had to be treated. More Than You Know had to be treated again. This is second round for him. So we have a number of horses getting vaccinated. So these are the things we're going through right now. We're reevaluating every horse. You heard me talk about in another video a couple of horses that will likely go up for sale next week just because they don't look like stake horses. So this is where this reevaluation process takes place all year long, every week, week by week, every horse case by case. How are they coming? How do they look? You saw me move Depend on It last week. I'm just not convinced he's a stake horse. So why is he here? And that's where we're at right now. So some horses getting over the virus that are going to need some time to catch back up. Dreaming on Credit. This horse was very sick for 2 weeks. He's going to need time to catch up. I'm going to have to give it to him. I can't judge him on how he looks next week. Horse was weak and sick for 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, I don't even think we can train him next Saturday. I don't know if we can. But the good news is this time frame, it ends and the horses do get out. Cunning Connie was sick for 2 weeks. She looks like $1 million now. No temperature, no cough, no snot, and sharp. So, I mean, they will get over it. But it hit them, whatever it is, whatever this virus was, it hit them really hard. So we're going to do some vaccinating on Monday. Going to take a very close look at the horses over this week. It does look like we can get the drone done on Saturday. I've asked Curtis. He said he can be there. The wind is low. It's only going up to 5. It's going to be a cold week. But you know what? The track should be good. So with that, your opening is done. A lot of videos that are really, really long this week. So I hope you guys got at least 1, maybe 2 large cups of coffee if you're planning on settling in for all of them. But now you're up to date. Very proud of what I saw this week. Yeah, we had some low points. We're a big stable. We're going to have low points. But we had lots of high points too. Not just Kings County, Royson's Punch, Stay Close, LD's Patrick in Ohio. Not just those horses. We had the wins from Almost Their Boss and Century Invictus. And Peanut also this week. So that's right now. And then you look, who's knocking on the door, getting ready to go? Unbeatable Kemp, Resolute Bay. I don't know that I've ever seen a horse more impressive qualifying for us in a long time as Unbeatable Kemp and Resolute Bay were. Those are 2 horses I'm keeping my eyes very close on. Blue Bayou Dio, watch her next week. And for those of you who may be just watching the middle of the road horses, My Mini Miracle, Isa 10, and Better Be Sawyer will be in London. And if they draw good and look like they could win, they likely will because they are sharp as attack right now. Now, Better Be Sawyer wasn't sharp as attack. She trained good at Mohawk, so she'll be tight going in also. She won't be short. And then you look at the horses that also, you talk about Unbeatable Kemp and Resolute Bay. What about Taiwan On? What about Slim Jimmy, Purple Aura, Sweet on Pete, 3 Point Blue Chip? And we don't even talk about High Gear No Fear. We'll keep with the young horses. Grace was amazing. Bomb Hugger. As I said, yes, him and High Gear No Fear getting close. Turned 2 good trotters out, bringing 2 back right now. Renegade Gypsy, World for 2. Just loaded. And don't forget about Matt's MVP. The horse has been racing great. Garnered a lot of respect from me, this horse this year. He's nowhere even close to sound. Got a lot of respect for Matt's MVP this year, the way he's been putting out. You talk about a horse that is the opposite of the way he was last year. The only reason we kept him is because he looked that talented. His attitude was atrocious last year. Now, totally different horse. So, a big spring approaching for us, which only looks like it's going to leap into a massive summer. So, most definitely, all signs point to a banner year for the stable, and that's saying a lot coming off the year we had last year. So, with that, I will cut things loose. As you can see, I've regained my optimism from last night. A little hurdle, a little speed bump, but we'll bounce back. So, with that, I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you have a better week coming up. The weather's going to suck, but the racing looks good. So I will talk to you all very, very soon. Take care.